there's no way to recite all of the poetry, even though that has been the number one ask by Keith. He wants just us to read poetry to him on our podcast here.
Not Somali poetry specifically?
Welcome to Nice Ashes. Join hosts Mike and Nate for cigars and culture. Let's go beyond the smoke.
What are we smoking today, Nate?
We are going back, I guess, briefly or something, dipping back into our Tatianas. This is the Tatiana Classic Groovy Blue, which was difficult for me to find, Mike, because nowhere on here on the label is there anything blue. But when I undid it, it smells like blue raspberry or something. Like it smells like Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's definitely sweet. Ren Fair definitely inspired me to go back into the Tatianas because they wanted so much money for these.
Yeah, the cap is super sweet. Ooh. I am pairing mine with a Summit Oktoberfest.
I am drinking the ever classic Guinness.
Well, the first few puffs are very sweet, which I expected with the cap.
Yeah, the flavor of the cap, I want it to be grape because it has a purple wrapper, but I don't think it's flavored like anything. It's just very sweet and smells fruity. Maybe it is blue raspberry.
Yeah, so it's very, very sweet. First few puffs are pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's blue raspberry.
Yeah, that's what it smelled like, so I'm pretty sure that's what it is, which is strange to be smoking, but I guess we did the, the cherry flavors and the vanillas, so this is right in line with those.
Yeah, blue raspberry is very popular for vaping. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So what are we going to talk about today, Nate?
We are going to dive deep into Somali literature because we're doing this whole Somali and Minnesota series, and we've started with some background stuff on Somalia. We've done kind of their history, things the United States might have done, things that the United States definitely did, other historical things. And in one of the episodes, I think it was the very first one, Mike, you were talking about how they had a very strong oral tradition, and they had a lot of celebrated poets and other literary contributions, and I got curious.
Yeah, I'm excited because I haven't done any research and I don't know anything about what we're going to talk about, so I get to learn with everybody else.
And I read a memoir of a Somali refugee, and I'm going to end the episode with that. So Mike's task is, at the end of this episode, if I haven't brought it up yet, remind me about the Call Me American memoir. So
I will endeavor to remember.
All right. A lot of this has to do, a lot of my literature, mostly all of this is poems. And so a lot of the themes and significance of the Somali poems are nationalism and resistance. A lot of the historic poems served as a form of resistance against foreign colonization, encouraging unity in a fight for independence, and also intertribal conflict, which we've talked about in previous episodes. So poems like the Guba Chain highlight the ongoing conflicts and disputes over resources such as land and livestock between Somali tribes, and also cultural expression. Poetry is deeply ingrained in Somali culture, serving as a vital medium for oral tradition, communication, and cultural identity, which likely is true of any culture that has poetry and or literature. So I've got a timeline by era of famous Somali literature, as well as quotes pulled from those Somali literature sources. And of course, you can go and read more at your leisure if you would like to after the episode, but there's no way to recite all of the poetry, even though that has been the number one ask by Keith. He wants just us to read poetry to him on our podcast here.
Not Somali poetry specifically?
Well, he didn't want to say specifically, but he's pretty tickled that that's what we're doing.
Got it.
Okay, so the first era here is the deep oral tradition, and this is from ancient to present because oral tradition is continuous. So why and what it is and why it matters. So Somali culture places enormous value on orally composed poetic forms, Gabe, Girar, Buranbur, and Jifto. Am I pronouncing those correctly? Probably not. Much of Somalia's literary history is oral. Poets were public intellectuals, historians, and mediators. And we talked about that in the very first episode in this series, I believe, Mike.
Yes, we did.
All right. So we've got, I've got a little bit of a Somali proverb here, which reflects the oral poetic wisdom tradition. A man who has no elders is like a camel without a leader.
That sounds like a wise old ancient proverb.
Yes. Yeah, it sounds not that different from a lot of the proverbs in other cultures, Christianity and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's along the same lines as what we're used to.
Yes. And this is just a proverb, so that I don't know that there's necessarily a poet attributed to this or an author or anything. Again, oral traditions, they cared a little less about who was doing the saying as opposed to what was being said. So
that also sounds familiar.
Yes. The next era here is the anti-colonial resistance poets, the Said, and early 20th century war poetry. So this is the late 19th to early 20th century. There's some key figures, Said Maximed Kabdul Zaysan, and he was also known as the Mad Mullah, or just Said, a leader of the dervish resistance, and his oral poems mobilized people and recorded events. And one of his opening lines used in some of his folk poems was "Proclaim to the people." One of his very famous resistance poems was called Agala Leged, which translates roughly to "The Defeat of the Infidels." And here is a reading, and this is the early 1900s again. The men of the infidels I have slain, their wealth I have seized, and their cattle I have driven before me like the clouds before the wind. I mean, talk about wooing the ladies.
Yeah, it was good, but I mean, I thought for a second, dude, you baited and switched me, because I thought for a second this was going to be some Gurney Halleck motherfucker, and we were going to get like a beautiful song about lusting after women or something. I was not expecting the Attila's death chant.
Well, remember, this is from the anti-colonial and resistance poets, so...
Well, no, I understand they're warrior poets, but I was expecting something a little more relaxed.
Well, that's a good segue into our next section, which is the pastoral and romantic poets of the early 20th century, love and clan poetry. So this is the early to mid 20th century. We've got Ismail Mire is a famed pastoral poet and military leader, and Kilmi also goes by Elmi Budhari, celebrated for passionate love poetry that broke norms. We've got one from Ismail, just kind of the beginning of one, which is, "Oh, my camels, bring me near the well," which would be a pastoral image that are as kind of familiar in a lot of his poetry. And we've got one of Elmi Budhari, "I sing of one I love, though the world forbids it."
That's a familiar theme, I guess. Very short.
Yeah.
Very short.
Well, those are just short, very short excerpts. And I've got two longer ones here, one from each. So I just wanted to kind of set the tone where this is a little different than the, blood of the infidels and other stuff.
Yeah, that's also familiar talk, but yes.
Well, I mean, all of this is familiar talk, and maybe that's the point. But I thought it was very neat to be able to find a lot of these poems and works and actually have some documentation here of, primarily in oral culture, a lot of this stuff could have been lost. So
absolutely.
And I think that's why we've got like the proverb, and then we kind of jump into the 19th to 20th century stuff. But
yeah, I'm excited because I've never been exposed to any Somali culture, really. So this will be my first exposure, even though I live in Minnesota.
Yeah. All right. So we've got from Ismail Mire, I don't know, M-I-R-E, from their poem, "War and Camels." "My camels are my heart's delight. They kneel beside the well at dusk, and when they rise like kings, bearing my songs upon their backs." So maybe he doesn't get into town very much.
I'm guessing not.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we start talking about the memoir, because the memoir was very eye-opening. But here's a bit of a poem from Elmi Budhari. And this is a love poem to Hodan. "I have fallen in love with you, Hodan. My heart burns like fire in the night, yet they forbid me to speak your name, but my verses betray my secret."
That is nice love poetry. I bet the entire thing is lovely.
Yes, I'll bet Hodan was
one hot
very
mama.
taken. Well, it was some forbidden love, so I don't know if it was intertribal, if Hodan was from a different tribe. I don't know if Hodan's a male name. I don't know. I guess I don't know anything about it, other than it was kind of a forbidden love or love poetry that breaks the norms. So,
right.
All right, then we're going to move into the mid-20th century national poets and modernizing voices. So this is the 1940s to the 1970s, which will butt us up very nicely with our very first episode, pretty much when all the big stuff started happening in Somalia, to put this in context of our earlier episodes. So we have some key figures. Cabdillahi Suldan, who also goes by Tamakadi, is a major nationalist poet whose gabe addressed modern social political issues and unity. Collections of his oral poetry were later compiled. We have a very short excerpt. I call the people to value knowledge and resist divisive forces. And then I've got a little bit of a longer one here. But do you have any thoughts before we get to the longer one, Mike?
Sounds like a wise gentleman to me.
Yeah, also sound kind of proverbish, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a very familiar style.
Yes. All right, so this longer one now is from a Gabe urging unity. Knowledge is a lantern in the dark. With it, a man may see the truth of his path. Without it, clans fall upon each other, like blind men striking at shadows.
Yeah, that sounds true enough for their culture, that's for sure, from what I understand.
Well,
and
yeah.
It's very relatable style. It sounds exactly like a biblical passage or something.
Yeah, and it sounds like it would apply to a lot of different cultures, clans
Absolutely.
Or tribes.
Kind of timeless in its in its meaning.
Yes. I've spoken with a very kind of like authoritative voice, but not a condescending authoritative.
Yeah.
All right. The next one here kind of overlaps with our last one, but this is the post-independence theater and written drama, and this is from the golden age of Somali theater. This is the 1960s and 1970s, the post-independence cultural flowering. So we have Hassan Sheikh Mumin, and he has written Shabil Nagud, which translates roughly to Leopard Among the Women, which is a landmark Somali play. It was originally in Somali and translated to English in 1974. And the play is widely taught and remains central to Somali theater. So if Hollywood's looking for another script idea, might not be a bad one. All right, here's a short one from the play, and then we've got a little bit longer section from the play. So we've got Shaleu laments being tricked into a false marriage, which I guess is a pivotal lament from the play. And the longer one, and again, the play is Leopard Among the Women. The longer excerpt here is, do not trust the smooth words of a deceiver, for he cloaks his claws in kindness. I was tricked into the snare of a false husband, and my tears are the dowry of my sorrow.
That sounds like it could be a good play, I guess, or a good movie idea.
Well, it sounds like a very... Yeah. I mean, it's not the same era, but it sounds, and a lot of people, Shakespeare is mostly comedy and tragedy. So it sounds like it could very well be in the same vein.
Right. And we've discussed this on the show where if Hollywood wants to do more diverse movies, this is the way to do it, is to adapt stories from different cultures into film, like they did originally.
Yes. Yeah, don't make West Side Story another time. Let's go find a new play.
Right. Like there's tons of plays like this that are hidden from our eyes, culturally, like somewhere else,
sure.
Thailand or wherever, Mongolia.
Yeah.
Right? There's
huge theater or performance or literature giants that are undiscovered to Western eyes.
Exactly.
Through no fault of their own.
No, it's just not. Western culture is about Western culture. The other cultures on the planet haven't interacted with us globally yet. That's the point we're entering, right? So
yeah, that's the point we're entering. And I know China and Korea have really stepped up their film industries and have had some big wins even at the Oscars and had some big, opening weekends or box office numbers. But somewhere like Somalia, where we've been talking, they've been at civil war for over 30 years. How are they going to have a film industry, or how are they going to have the internet infrastructure, or who there is going to think it's important enough to film and upload this play so that other people can watch it? They're trying to survive. They're not a little different circumstances.
Very different.
All right. Then we have the modern canonical novelists. That's right, canonical?
Sure.
Okay. We've got Nuruddin Farah, who is Somalia's best-known novelist in English. And their important works include Sweet and Sour Milk, and the series which is sometimes called Variations on the Theme of an African Dictatorship. Farah's novels examine family, power, and exile. So a short excerpt from Sweet and Sour Milk, and then we'll have a little bit longer one from Sweet and Sour Milk. He lay there, feeling light as a sail, fleeing from all but her. And Sweet and Sour Milk was published in 1979. And this is, it looks like it's kind of the same, but this is kind of the full version of it and not the paraphrased. He lay there feeling light as a sail, his thoughts drifting away from the city, away from the walls that spied on him, toward the memory of a woman's voice. That alone made him whole.
I would read that.
Yeah. Should we do, what do you think, Mike? Should we do a cigar check before we keep chugging along here? Or?
Yeah. We should do a cigar check. I'm a little over halfway. I was waiting for you to bring it up because I know I'm probably going faster than you. But,
I think I'm like just at halfway, but
sure. It's fine. I don't know if the blue raspberry is doing it for me.
The what?
I don't know if the blue raspberry flavor is doing it for me.
Dude, I don't. If you like this flavor, I mean, it's good, but the first few puffs were the sweetest, and then the sweetness kind of wears off on a lot of these flavored cigars. The sweetness doesn't usually last the whole thing. It's still sweet. I mean, it's still sweet, but this, I don't know if it's just the flavor. Really, it is. It's blue raspberry, and it tastes just like it, but it tastes like, I don't know, partying in college, and then the next morning, and you get to taste all the fruity stuff that you drank the night before, I guess.
Mixed with the mixed tobacco, pipe tobacco.
Mixed in the cooler, and you drink out of that, and then you smoked some, and then it's coming back. So it's not like I'm smoking vomit. I'm not trying to say that. It's just, the flavor is a very interesting one to have a cigar out of, and not one that I would have necessarily gravitated towards. Do they have a watermelon one, Mike?
I haven't looked. I think so.
Okay, because I like watermelon flavor generally, but I guess I can't really say anything bad about it other than I'm not super thrilled by it. But it still has that blue raspberry taste halfway through, and you still taste it. It still tastes like blue raspberry. And it's not offensive. I don't taste any
it
negative.
Tastes almost as good in the middle as it did at the very start.
Yeah,
like it's very consistent. But as far as quality goes, it's very high quality. But it's not something that I would seek.
That's what I mean. Like there's no sour notes. There's no like burnt notes. The draw is good. It's still sweet.
Blue raspberry flavored
blue raspberry
cigar pipe tobacco. Contraption.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, if you're into the blue raspberry, this is probably the cat's meow for you, or the camel's milk for you.
I mean, we'll talk about it at the end, but
yes, indeed. All right, then we're gonna go to the late 20th century modern poets. We have Maxamed Ibrahim Orsami, who also goes by Hadrawi. Hadrawi is widely regarded as one of the greatest Somali poets of modern times. His work ranges from love lyrics to political critique and is frequently anthologized and translated. There's a short line that's often used in some translations, which is Kajabi, Kajabe, which means evening and wonder, which is the opening refrain from a widely circulated love poem. We've got a little bit longer one from Jakael Dig Miluguaquara, which translates to, Can love be written in blood? Or maybe that's, Can love be written in blood? Love is not a wound that bleeds, nor a scar upon the flesh. It is a light that blinds the heart, a fire whose smoke cannot be hidden.
Sure. It's not for me, but it's...
Well, yeah. I mean, the cool thing is that there's so many of these poets and authors from all these different eras, and they all have a different style, and they all fit into these different kind of eras, which is, what is it for me?
I don't like that
beat
era poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah, beat poetry. I'm sure there's Somali beat poets. Gotta be, right?
Oh, I would imagine, yeah. And then we've got the last kind of era here is the diaspora and contemporary voices. We've got Warsan Shire, and there's some younger Somali writers as well. This is the 2000s to present. Warsan Shire's a British Somali poet. Her poem Home became widely cited refugee justice text and was quoted in international media. And there are some other contemporary Somali and Somali diaspora poets and writers continue to broaden the tradition in English and Somali. Here's the first line of Warsan Shire's Home. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. And we've got more of it here. So this is from 2015. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. You only run for the border when you see the whole city running as well. Your neighbors are running faster than you, their breath in their throats. The boy you went to school with, who kissed you dizzy behind the old tin factory is holding a gun bigger than his body.
That definitely sounds like the poetry of a traumatized culture.
Yes. So that's it for kind of the overview of the different eras of poetry. And the one that I read and was highly recommended to me through my research was the book Call Me American. And it's written by Abdi Iftin. And I'm trying to remember, but he was pretty young. And I mean, he's got to be close to our age, I would think, Mike.
Okay, so he's our contemporary.
Yeah, let me say your line, Mike. Say your line.
Google the show, everybody.
Let's see. Abdi Iftin. He's got crazy. So he's 40 years old. So he was born in 1985.
So yeah, he is our contemporary.
He is pretty much our contemporary. So he, his story in the book is fantastic. It's very eye-opening, and I had told Mike a little bit about it, and he was like, oh, man, we got to talk about that. So his parents were nomads in Somalia, and they were forced into Mogadishu after a drought, and I think in 77. And then, he was born there and everything. And his parents would always talk about their nomadic lifestyle. And the nomads are mostly illiterate. They can't count, but they have herds of animals, camels and other things. And they can't count, but every animal has a name. So that's how they make sure they have all their animals, is Mary here, Mary the camel, or whatever they would name their camels.
That seems like a terribly inefficient way to keep track of things.
Well, yeah, but they're also nomadic. And so, if your herd is bigger than somebody else's herd, you're wealthier, but you mostly just go about your life and don't worry about other people. You're out in the desert,
I suppose the only beings you're interacting with are your cattle. So
yeah, and camels and goats are very sought after there. The nomads couldn't. I think he was saying they couldn't really even recite the Quran. They certainly didn't practice female genital mutilation or circumcision.
Crazy. That's good.
Yep. And that the oral tradition was necessary for their way of life as nomads. And this is coming from, his mom telling him all this stuff. And she would have to fight lions and not coyotes, hyenas to keep them away from their herds. And they moved into Mogadishu after the drought. He was born and he had I think his brother was a little bit older than him. And then, it goes through the whole thing, but his mom didn't fit in with the city crowd because she hadn't been genitally mutilated. And the other women in town, and this is where those clans and the stuff comes in, because their clan, Abdi's clan, was, and I don't remember, but it's the one that starts with an R, but they're seen as the nomadic clan, where they're, I guess, kind of sort of the equivalent of like hillbillies, right? If somebody from the deep south moved into Minneapolis or New York, you're going to be able to tell based on their accent and how they dress. I mean, in America, we're not looking at their genitals, I hope, to see if they fit in with the culture. But so his mom actually voluntarily got herself her own female mutilation to fit in the city.
That's wild, dude.
And they took a razor blade, just a razor blade. They used one side of it to circumcise him and one side of it to circumcise his brother. And it's like, okay. The other thing he said is that the nomads and most Somalis, the idea of a birth date, like a birthday, doesn't make any sense because they don't really track days. Like to them, it doesn't matter. He was saying it's like you're born and you die. The date doesn't matter. So a lot of the Somali refugees have birth dates of January 1st.
Sure.
Because they just pick.
Close enough, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, nobody really knows. I don't think they even do the thing where it's, counting the moons or, how many moons old are you or stuff like that, right? Or how many seasons or how many winters have you seen? Because they don't really have winters there, of course, but.
Definitely a different way of looking at things.
Yeah. And so he had a blast in Mogadishu because there weren't any extremist Islamics, and he had to go to the I don't remember what it was called, but it's the kind of like the mosque, but I guess kind of like Bible study. And so he would have to go and recite the Quran. And the way to pass this is you had to recite the entire Quran. And the sheikh, or it's not really a sheikh, but I can't remember the exact name of this religious figure, would beat them with sticks if they messed up. And so he would go and do this. And he had a friend or somebody in the community started getting American movies. And so she set up a little like movie hut, and people will go there and watch these American movies. And of course, they only speak Somali. They don't speak English. And they would just watch like Terminator and Rambo and all these, like American action movies. But he started paying attention and trying to figure out what they were saying. So he basically taught himself English from watching American media in Somalia.
Sure. That's crazy.
And then so he kind of earned himself the nickname Abdi the American.
Oh, okay.
And he got huge into it, and he loved America. He wanted to go there. He wanted to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. And at the time, he had no idea Arnold was not an American, or not, American born, which to us is silly because we're like, Arnold does not sound like any American. But if you're speaking Somali and he's speaking English, sure, but you're not able to necessarily pick out the accents, the different accents, and be like, oh yeah, that's an East Coaster, that's a West Coaster, that's an Austrian speaking English, kind of. No offense, Arnold.
Well, yeah, clearly he's not going to discern the difference between the Western North Dakotan and the Northern Minnesota accent.
Yeah. And then he was talking about the Americans came in, and he was saying, and he brought this up later in the book, but he was saying the Americans always pointed their guns away from the civilians and were generally friendly towards them. And then one day they just disappeared. All the clans kind of like came in and took over, and the extreme Islamics came in, and they made all the women cover up, no beards, no American music. The movie hut got shut down. They were literally cutting hands off of people if they had a beard. At bus stops, bus checks, they'd raid buses and check to make sure everybody was in observance of Islam. And things kind of got worse from there. There's bombings and fighting. And he was telling these crazy stories of like bullets being shot through their house. They have mud walls on their houses and things, and they'd have to go and dodge sniper fire to fill their water barrel every day.
Every day.
Yeah. And you could go and like sell things, and it was kind of like a peddler society. It turned into kind of a peddler society. Like you try and sell whatever you could. So like they'd go and get water or whatever, or they'd collect, they'd actually raid. Him and his brother would hop on to like the back of the Clan and Powers trucks, moving all the quat leaves, and they would grab any quat leaves they could, or any that fell out of the truck, and then they would go sell those on the street to try and make money so they could afford like beans or rice or camel milk or something, because they gave up their herd moving into the city, and then there's really nothing for them to do because nobody's educated, right? They're getting educated in the Quran, but they're not really being taught any skills to do anything.
Right. They're not getting apprenticed to the local silversmith.
No, and they're like worried for their lives because their homes would get bombed. Bullets would just go flying. Some of these people in power, the military, they would be of a certain clan, and if you weren't of the right clan, or if they could tell by your accent which clan you're a part of, or if you didn't speak the right dialect, they might just shoot you. Like it was very the people in power's discretion. For sure. So, and then he was talking, he tried to save up money to go and leave the country, and they would have to go across the sea to one of the countries. And I think he only had $80, but it was $100 to get on the boat. So he couldn't get on the boat. And the first boat he had friends on, and it went across and made it, but they overloaded these boats all the time. And so the second boat didn't make it. And he was trying to get on the second boat too, but they turned him back at that one too. And the second boat sank, and they all died. So, and his brother made it out to, I don't know if it was Kenya or something, but he took a chance in Mogadishu. There was a British reporter or something, and he shouted at American to this British reporter, English. The reporter came down and invited him in to do a story, and then they got him hooked up with like a cell phone. They gave him money to go buy a cell phone so he could call in and do kind of like guerrilla reporting from Mogadishu and telling what the situation was there. And so he kind of because he took that chance, and he had learned English from the movies, he took that chance reaching out to that white person, right, in Somalia, and ended up kind of building up a relationship with this person, and then that got his name out other places. But that doesn't guarantee anything because reporters can't control if you get visas or refugee status or any of that sort of thing. So they put together like a team to help him get out of Mogadishu and get to, I don't know if it was, I think it was Kenya. And there was a town called Little Mogadishu, and it's basically like a shithole little community, right? And they're living in this apartment building that would make an American fire marshal have bad dreams for a long time, probably. There's like one bathroom on the ground floor, and stories of like shitty apartments, like shitty, not like American shitty, but he was there without papers. And so part of the thing was he had to get all these papers, and he applied for this green card lottery, but the lottery was only to get the interview, to see if you did or didn't get the green card. So then he had to get all these papers, but they were all the police officers there and stuff would raid this village or this part of the community and arrest you. But really all they wanted was money. So they'd come in and like shake people down for money. If you didn't have enough money, you went to jail. If you had enough money, they let you go. But then things were getting bad there because what's that one? Is it Al-Shabaab?
Yeah.
They started moving in and they were trying to enforce the radical Islam again. And they were starting to bring violence there even. And like he said, the first day he got there, he met up with his brother who had been there for a while, and they had KFC. And that was the first time he's ever had like fast food and all that stuff. And so anyway, kind of longer story short, he ends up kind of getting his green card. He goes to America, and there's somebody in Maine who has a family, and they pick him up from the airport and bring him out there. And he's very concerned about if they have a dog or not, because in Islam, dogs are dirty. You can't be licked by them or touch them or anything like that. And the woman drove from the airport. He'd never seen a woman driver before. So like the culture difference is massive when we're talking about like Somalia. You go to this hut to learn the Quran, and if you forget it or mess up, you get beat by a stick. Women need to be covered. They can't sit in the front of the bus or whatever, right? And like they're not supposed to leave the house really. And then you come here and there's like female drivers and dogs everywhere, and
yeah, women in their bikinis on advertising.
Well,
men,
yeah,
more or less completely nude.
Yeah. Yes. So, but he's very against the female genital mutilation, and he kind of ended his book with that he believes that, really it's the second generation Somalis that are going to fully integrate. And he believes that you can pray your prayers, read the Quran, but still go and see a movie, and still talk to a female. So, but he's, our age. So,
yeah, by nature, he's going to be more moderate, just because he wasn't there for longer.
Yeah. And, but it was interesting to me because I guess Americans kind of believe that there's only one Islamic religion, which is the extreme one with Sharia law and all of that. And it's really mostly not like that, at least according to his memoir, where, the nomads considered themselves Muslim, but they weren't very strict about things or didn't have the same interpretations that...
That's rural culture generally. Traditional rural cultures don't have strong religious values.
Yeah.
Because it's not practical for their lifestyle.
Yes.
I mean, praying 5 times a day is great, but not if you have to drive cattle all day.
Yeah. Yeah, not when things need to be done.
Right. Like, that fence isn't going to fix itself. So,
yes.
Church will wait till next Sunday.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he said he got a job doing installation in Maine, but then he kind of didn't have any purpose or anything. And, he didn't like a bunch of white Maine people don't really relate to him well. And so there was a larger international community a little bit south. And so he went down there and started playing, soccer and stuff with them, and kind of got in touch with more Somalis and other cultures too. And because he speaks American, he kind of fell into a translator type of role, helping with like their medical doctor appointments and things like that. So, and it was very fascinating because before we started this series, I never really thought much about what was going on in Somalia. So this book was very interesting.
It sounds interesting. That'd be worth a read.
Yeah.
It's incredible that he could be well adjusted to our society at all after living that life.
Yeah. I don't know how well adjusted, he didn't talk about he mentioned some post-traumatic stress in the sense of like many refugees that have come here have it, which makes sense.
I would say they almost all have it.
Well, yeah, but he didn't go too in-depth with that. He did say that with the 2016 election of Donald Trump, and he said he had read Donald Trump's Art of the Deal book when he was back in either Somalia or Kenya. Because they were just trying to read any English they could, and he enjoyed it. But then, when he became president, he was like, we didn't know what to do. A lot of us Somalis kind of like stayed indoors and didn't leave. And, they came from a place where they were used to police coming and rounding people up and doing things to them. So.
Right. The rhetoric, I'm sure, for some of them doesn't help.
Yeah.
It gets Americans riled up, and it's surely it would get them riled up as well.
Yes. So how much of your cigar do you have left, Mike?
I have about 1.25 inches left, but I think I'm going to put it down because the end is starting to fall apart, and it's getting very dirty.
Yeah, the end. The end is getting dirty, and it's not as tasty anymore. The end is not as good.
It did get a little bitter, but it wasn't bad, really. It was more.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah,
it's a thinner cigar. It's not as.
Reading this is going to be hard, dude.
What's that?
Rating this is going to be very difficult for me.
Reading what, Mike?
Rating the cigar.
Oh, rating it. Sorry. We're talking about all these like poems and. What are you trying to read, bud? What are you trying to read? I don't know. Yeah, I guess like I liked the cigar. It was good. I'm not a huge fan of blue raspberry to begin with. I guess like, I don't know. We liked the Waking Dream. Didn't like the Nightcap as much. Vanilla. Yeah, I guess I'll probably put it the same as you, Mike. I'll give it a 2. I mean, it was good, but I don't like the blue raspberry.
The 2 is my acknowledgement that someone will like that cigar. If you want a blue raspberry flavored cigar, that is exactly what it is. It did not work for me. I would not smoke it again. But I would recommend it for somebody who really wants that.
Sure.
Because it is exactly what it's exactly as advertised. So quality is there, just not for me.
Oh, yeah. It was consistent. Didn't have any issues that way, the end got but it's a little bit thinner cigar, so you're going to get some of that at the end.
Well, it's a pipe tobacco filled cigar, so yeah, it's going to happen. Just in the nature of what it is. It's a little dirty.
Yep.
But was that the memoir that we just discussed? Was that what you wanted to make sure we talked about before the show was over?
Yes, it was.
I thought so, but I wanted to make sure because you were very insistent.
I just didn't know how it was going to go. If you were going to be stirred or moved by some of the other poems, and we'd go off on a tangent and pastoral Somalia, or if we'd have enough time to get to it. So we did, and I highly recommend Call Me American by Abdi Iftin if you want kind of a boots on the ground, firsthand experience of the refugee experience. And I'd like to check out that play. That play sounds interesting.
They might even do, where you live, if you looked, they might be doing that in the theater season down there.
They might,
like Mixed Blood or something like that,
Yeah, I wonder if they would. I'll have to keep an eye out for it.
If they do, I would go. I was going to say, we have to go in your van, though, because I'm not parking anywhere near Mixed Blood Theater.
Yeah. We can take the van. That's fine.
No offense to Mixed Blood Theater.
Yeah. Well, I've ridden bike down there before, so we could do that too if it's not freezing.
Right. I mean, as long as the show is in the afternoon, I wouldn't want to ride bike down there after dark.
Oh, you country people.
Right. The first time I was down there was probably 2004, and it reminded me of the movie Judgment Night. Like, I might have been under the influence a little bit, and
sure.
I was like, holy shit, I'm an extra.
Yeah. Well, I guess better an extra than one of the main characters, huh?
Very much so, yeah.
Well, anyway, check out some of the poems or literature if any of them spoke to you. Otherwise, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Be safe, have fun.